Are we live on both of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Uh-oh.
What? No, that's...
Okay, okay, good. I always get worried that I'm on the wrong account.
No, you're right.
All right.
Otherwise, that little
Everything would scream
thing
at us.
would say my name on it.
What did we talk about?
What?
What did we just do yesterday?
We did a photo shoot.
No, we didn't.
That wasn't yesterday. Was that yesterday?
It was yesterday, right? No. It's Tuesday.
No, it wasn't. I was like, definitely not, because
Wow.
I took Wes to
It
gymnastics.
was Tuesday.
Told you. Hi, everybody. Oh, Nick's already messing stuff up. Here he goes. It's gonna be a wild ride.
It's gonna be good. Yeah, so we did a photo shoot yesterday,
Yes.
and I got...
Not yesterday.
Or Tuesday.
Not that anyone cares
We
what
went
really
to
happened.
the Tyler Arboretum.
Yes,
which
it
is
was
awesome.
so nice. So we've been to the Tyler Arboretum before for like
events.
weddings and things like that, but we've never actually gotten to explore the Arboretum, and it's way bigger than I ever would have thought. Even on our photo shoot, I think we saw like
Not all of it.
maybe 50% of it is my guess. Maybe like a little more than that.
Can you make your purse bigger? We
Which
make
purse?
more than one.
If you tell me which one, then maybe I can.
Maybe.
But yeah, it was, so anyways, and we've been there before. I think the last time we were there, I kind of like just a sneaky bit more exploring with Wes. And in doing so, I was like, ooh, there's a lot of really beautiful places here that would make a great backdrop for a photo shoot. And so, yeah, so we went on Tuesday, and was kind of nice because
Yeah, they were out of power.
A really bad storm had passed through. We actually had tornado warnings here, and we were hiding in the basement for a good 30 to 40 minutes probably, maybe an hour even. And Wes had his bike helmet on.
It was a tornado watch.
It was pretty serious. But anyways, because of that storm, they were out of power, and they were letting everyone in for free. And so
Win.
It was a win for us, which was lovely. And the photo shoot was perfect. Honestly, it was great. We had Wes with us, which I was a little like, how's this gonna go? We typically try to have Wes either with, a friend or a relative, whatever, when we go do that sort of thing. But he's been on a couple like quick photo shoots with us, but nothing as long as that.
Yeah, this was probably the longest one we did.
Yeah.
Have done.
But like the weather was so nice. It was a little bit breezy. It wasn't too humid, and it was cloudy, which is great for photography and like the photos that we like to take.
It's easier for photos.
Yeah. And the Arboretum was gorgeous, and just so many different backgrounds and things, plants for us to use in buildings too.
Yeah.
It was great. The other awesome piece, wait, let me glue this before my glue decides to dry on me.
I did put some of the images into a blog post, so.
Yeah, if you want to go check out more of them, we'll definitely be posting a ton of them, I'm sure. But hold on one second. Glue.
She's working. Leanne is working on a large batch of Charlotte's.
I was like, I don't know how many there are.
So that's what's happening. We're about at if you're wondering about orders, we're about just past 6 weeks. So you probably had to wait just a little longer than normal because we went away for a little bit. So that pushed it back a little bit. But we have, it's funny how it works, but like we have some bags that are just easier to make coming up. So like we think we're gonna make up a pretty significant amount of ground for what month is it? August? For August.
Yeah, they're just I don't know about easier, but definitely faster.
Faster rather.
To make, than the other ones are. Some of the other ones are. But anyways, the point I wanted to make was doing the photo shoot was great because of the conditions and the background, of course, but also we worked with our friend Sarah over at Potter's Daughter, and she sent me a dress and a top, which I'm actually wearing the dress right now. And it's so pretty. You guys probably can't, well, you can kind of see there. It's like this really beautiful cotton eyelet. And so it was just a great win-win for the both of us because we sent her a ton of the photos because she just needed some more model and style type shots with her clothes. So it just worked out really great. And I absolutely adore her clothes. I have one of her quilt jackets. And her and I have really kind of struck up a really great friendship kind of through the pandemic, really, just online, and just always giving each other advice and like talking through everything because she's kind of in
Where's she based out of?
Arkansas. It's one of the A states in the South. It's hot.
It's one of the A states. Okay. I wasn't sure.
What's another A state?
Alabama. Arkansas.
Alabama.
Someone knows
Which
the
one's
song.
closer to us?
Which one's closer?
Yeah.
I mean,
Are they next
they're
to
like differently. Like Arkansas is more west,
Okay.
and Alabama is obviously south.
I think
south.
she's in Alabama then, maybe. Anyways.
Geography.
But yeah, we've just struck up a great friendship, and so it was so nice to shoot with her clothes, and to have just something different to style up together with the bags. It worked really, really well. So yeah, that was really fun. And I know we're definitely going to be going back to the Arboretum at some point to do more shoots because, like I said, we probably covered 50% of it, and also like as the seasons change, it just changes and gets more beautiful. And
that's the good thing about going on a weekday.
Yeah.
And there was also no one was there because of the weather, but
right.
But it just worked out in our favor.
Yeah, going in the middle of the week was very helpful. Yeah, that was a great shoot. And Wes did a really good job. Wes brought his camera. He
got to shoot some
He
butterflies.
got a digital camera for his birthday that really looks like Nick's camera,
It's like really small.
but just like a shrunken down version of it.
He enjoyed that for longer than I expected.
Yeah, he did great. He was taking pictures of the flowers and mostly butterflies. There's lots of butterflies there, so. But he did pretty well. There was definitely.
I love my purses. I get so many compliments. I get many compliments.
That's awesome. I'm sure the people that saw us walking around were
It was all
fully
like
confused.
Everyone that was there was staff, and they were like,
I think we saw like
"What are you
maybe
doing?"
7 people there that weren't staff.
Yeah, there were
Towards
a couple
the end.
families.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But yeah, they have, like any arboretum, they have sections, like they have pine, rhododendron, they had
The like the floral-y stuff.
like wildflowers.
They have that little
the one section that has, like, it's a smoke tree or smoke bush,
smoke bush. Yeah.
depending on where you are, what you call it. It was really cool
Oh
because
my
it
gosh.
blooms like this, like fuzzy kind of, I don't even know what you call it, fuzziness. Plume, and it looked really cool. And it was starting to, I think there's
Dry?
different varieties, and like this
Yeah.
one, I think started like kind of like a reddy blush color, and then it was starting to gray out, and it was such a cool contrast.
So pretty. That is going to be something
Nature's awesome,
we'll
guys.
go back to.
Anyway.
Also, I was thinking for a spring shoot there for the rhododendron. Like
yeah.
there's like
And
a
they have a
whole
magnolia section too,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
which will be awesome.
It's so good.
Plants.
Let's go.
Plants and
Wow.
trees.
We came here for bags and leatherwork, and we're
Getting
talking about
and
plants.
trees. Botany.
But yeah, that was a really fun
Yeah,
shoot.
we haven't done a photo shoot in a little while, so that felt really good.
Yeah, it did.
So if you haven't heard, our Domestica course is out. We have, I think, just under 400 students that started, so that's super exciting.
Yeah, and thank you so much to everyone who has signed up and started taking the class. So far, it's been really
And
positive.
no thank you to the people who haven't.
So far, it's been very positive
Someone's
feedback.
sending us, it looks like Russian comments, and I'm sorry, but I cannot read Russian or speak it. Anyway, the cool thing about the class is that we try to give you as many resources as we can to help you produce a bag that looks as similar to ours. We have the Moonrise bag is the name of the bag you're going to make, and it's got a pattern and like a tool and material list with links, videos, all sorts of things. You'll learn like basically how we produce a bag of that style. And then the other cool thing is the gusset's pretty like versatile. Like you can do a lot of things with that style of
That
gusset
type of a gusset.
once you learn how to make it.
Yeah.
So you can produce, whatever style of bag you want after that.
And I would say it's like, it's funny because the bag itself looks easy when it's like complete and you're seeing like, oh, I get to make that bag. That looks pretty
really
easy.
Simple, but as you know.
Yeah, things are much harder than they seem. And so So there is actually quite a bit of skill you'll learn in doing it, but once you learn the actual techniques and start applying them, it really isn't that hard once you know how to do it, once you've done it a couple of times. And like Nick said, you can really apply it to so many different shape bags doing that style of gusset. So that was why we chose to do that. I mean, it was for a couple of reasons. People always asking us how we do curved gussets because it is a more difficult type of gusset to do. So I knew I wanted it to be a curved bag. And so, yeah, so we show exactly how we get that super crisp type of gusset with that.
And also, like, any maker knows, it's like what you put into it is what you get out of it. So
Yeah.
working on like the finer details at the end, like when you put them all together, that's what really makes your bag stand out.
Yeah, we go over lots of finishing stuff.
I mean, to us, the finishing is just so important. Like, our bags would be such a different style and kind of bag if we just had like raw edge, no paint, like less thought out like shapes. It would just be so different.
The other thing is we teach the class as if you know nothing, and it's all done with hand tools. However, if you have a leather sewing machine and you want to sew it on the machine, you absolutely can. In fact, we have at least one student who's doing that who already reached out to us just with like a simple, I think she was asking thread size on the machine.
Yes.
But yeah, so if you have the ability to sew on a machine and you want to do it that way, you can do it that way. Otherwise, we teach you how to do it fully with hand tools, which is obviously just a less expensive route, but more time consuming. But
we
also
weren't
just
able to
important.
ship our Cobra 26
No.
to Spain to film.
And they didn't have one for us to use there, but but they, at the end of filming, they were like, maybe the next one we do, it could be in New York, and then we could have
get a sewing machine.
Yeah, exactly. So that'd be cool.
I think that sewing machine is like mystical to some people. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I'm just gonna thread this machine real quick.
fussy old gussets. Have a good day. Enjoy the videos. What are you doing?
I'm just threading this machine.
It's gonna be awkward then.
Sorry, I can come back if you want.
We're gonna have a timeline together for the new designs that are gonna come out, and we're just talking about like the holiday deadline, which is hilarious to even think about because it's still hot out.
I know. Do we want to just talk about it really quick? Because I mean, I think we've pretty much made our decision. Or do you not feel that way? You want to wait a little bit?
I think we have to wait a little bit. It's always tough because like we have to decide with a reasonable time frame to let you know, but we also have to understand like what we have in queue before that happens. So like it's a balance.
Yeah, it is.
We're thinking it's going to be similar, like early November, but because it would seem so silly to have it be in October.
Yeah, I don't
just
think.
because that doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Anyway, so that's what we're thinking. It'll probably be early November, so we'll decide when, because we're doing obviously our orders differently this year. So we have order weeks, so that kind of changes some things. We're also, I think I said this, we're also working on our fall like pre-order schedule. So
Right. Yeah, so we have basically, we're planning on launching 3 new bags this fall. And so we're just trying to work out that exact schedule. Right now, what we're hoping is to, like Nick was saying earlier, we were like a tiny bit behind because we were on vacation. However, like the bags that we have in queue right now are some of the faster bags for us to make. So I'm thinking I can like really pump through them and then start getting onto the new designs, which is exciting too because for you guys, because I'm gonna hopefully be able to share some of the progress in that. We shared last week one of the bags that I had started. I'd say that bag is fairly
it's almost done.
I need to edit. I'm going to finish that one that I did because it's not totally done, but then I'm also going to edit the pattern as we talked about, just kind of changing the shape just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't anticipate like many challenges to complete the actual design. Like
No, yeah. But I would say the other 2 bags, I would say that bag that we showed last week that I was working on is it's definitely like constructed differently, and it's also with the milled leather. However, it's a much more straightforward design, whereas the other 2 bags I'm planning on doing are definitely, to me at least, I would say a little bit more exciting as far as the design of it goes. And I'm excited to work on them. Like I'm really excited to work on them and I'm excited to share that process with you guys.
In my mind, if you guys remember the Olivia design, the one that you're working on currently is like
the updated
updated version of that.
Yes.
Because like we love the Olivia design, but it was missing something.
Yeah.
And I feel like this completes
Gets
that
it.
thought, and then
I agree with
it's done.
you. Yeah.
And like it's exciting for different reasons.
Yeah, it has more compartments in it. It's made with the milled leather,
Yeah.
which is exciting. And
But like we had to make that one to get this one.
this one. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah.
I'm doing a 2-day leather crafting class at a local studio in September. Do you recommend and to stay away from teaching a class? We don't have time. We just really don't have time for that. Like
For
we would
teaching a
love
class?
to like get in
Yes.
front of people and teach. But like Leanne was saying, like this is going to be I think the first month of the year that we'll be caught up,
Yes.
and that's wild.
Before the end of the month.
Before the end of the month.
Yes.
So we're kind of starting over at square one for the first
time in
Not even January. It was like
8-9 months. Yeah.
since
Yep.
So we like
And the goal is like one of our goals is like if we were to ever get a space outside of our home, to add like once a month like workshops in
What
that
do you
studio
guys make?
space.
That's a good
But that would be, you know, after we have people working with us and things like that. But we can talk about what we make. That's a great question.
How do I find the invitation for this class? So our Domestika course you can find in our profile. The
Our
latest
Instagram
highlight
profile.
has a link.
Or you can
Not
go-
to be greedy, but if you click our link,
Yeah.
we get more of a percentage versus if you
Yes.
click a different link.
Yeah, if you go straight to Domestika and click their link, we will get less. We don't care either
mean,
way, but just so you are aware.
It's appreciated.
It is much appreciated if you use our link. What we make is leather bags. I don't know. I was like, let's show you some. And then I was like, but I don't want to show you these ones because we're still in the middle of working on them. There you go. Stuffing. This is one of our very first designs we ever did. This is our Phoebe bag. So all veg tan, structured leather bags.
Beautiful. U.S. made leather.
And we literally, yeah, I design and make everything here. All our leather is tanned in Pennsylvania, in our home state, all that good stuff.
Oh man, I'm way behind.
Get on it. I'm gonna finish.
Can you show some samples? Oh, or just show the leather fabric. Here, you want to see something funny? There's a bunch of Charlottes. So here's some leather.
So that's navy tan,
and olive. Okay. I had something I was going to talk about and I totally forgot it.
Dun, dun, dun.
What program do you use to design your stuff?
I use the program called Paper and Pencil. It's very high tech. You need a lot of skill.
P&P?
No, I always design everything with paper and pencil first. I just find that working in Photoshop or Illustrator,
Okay,
you're
it's a good quality.
zooming in and out all the time. You start to lose perspective of like the scale of your bag in relation to the human body. So I always like to start on paper. Once we get to the point where we need to get any dies made, and dies are basically like big cookie cutters that we put into a press to get the designs cut out, then I'll use Illustrator because they prefer a vector file for that sort of thing.
They demand it.
Yes.
Because you
They
can scale
demand
it.
Oh, and so you can also go to our website and go to Make With Us at the top, I think.
Well, there's a section called Domestika.
Oh, there's a separate section called Domestic.
I just have it like it's a blog. It's basically a blog post with links, and then there's also we're talking about something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to our website and you go to the Make With Us section, we do have, I think, 3 or 4 downloadable patterns that come with instructions.
One of my hopes is
and
if
make
we
a
get
bag
caught
with
up,
us
we
that
can
way
maybe
also.
do 3 more.
Yeah, I know.
It's written down.
I'm working on it.
Man.
Oh, man, so sorry.
Yeah, we chose this leather for many reasons, and quality was one of them, and we love it. Tips, checklist for successful new product launches.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Jeez. Whoa. Careful.
Maybe not.
Oh no. I mean, creating a plan is like step one, and I think I just always recommend writing stuff down, because like when I don't write stuff down, like I get lost, and even if I never look at this again, it's a plan that I can then I can look at later if I have to. And like I forget dates, like it's my job, so I have all the dates written down, and then like projected things. So like, if we're gonna do this design launch here, this is when we're gonna ship. I give myself buffer zones. Like there's all sorts of things you can do, but I write down your plan. And then before you launch, you gotta drum up support for what you're doing. So like here, we just talk about what's coming down later. So like by the time it happens, we've probably been talking about things for at least 4 weeks, I would say.
Yeah.
I think if you really want to condense your launch, you can do it in like 7 to 10 days. But you have to be like on point with every single thing you're doing. And so I've been reading different perspectives on like email campaigns and how it's just like, it's always been like junk mail, right? But I feel like it's getting even less and less like potent. So unless you're constantly working on your list and like paring it down, I think like it's always good to get new subscribers, but I think that that's becoming less and less important. I think it's about being more educational in your value for your customers, and then really defining what they like and presenting that to them in an interesting way.
One thing I would say, and this
That was long-winded, I'm sorry.
is just like a personal preference, but I felt that when we've done launches where we're doing like many things at once, it doesn't go as well as when we do one thing at a time.
Yeah. When your message is multiple things, like people don't know what to focus on.
Yeah.
So if you choose the thing, do the thing, tell people you're doing the thing.
Yeah. So like,
bang them over the head with it.
meaning like, so I remember when we launched the Bowery for the first time, we launched it with like at least 3 other bags, maybe even more than that. I can't remember.
The Bowery was, it was the Chelsea, the Fairmount, the Bowery, and there was one other one, I think.
Yeah, I can't. It might
The
be one
Village
that.
Tote.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's one that we dropped. I know. And that launch in particular did not go very well. Now, granted, this was a long time ago. We had way less following than we do now, but it really didn't go that well. And then the Bowery and Mini Bowery have become some of our absolute best sellers, and you never would have guessed that based on that pre-order. And so I personally just think that doing one at a time, even if you tell them like, these are the 3 bags that are coming, you can order this one this week, you can order this one that week, and it just for us has been more successful doing it that way.
Timing's huge. Like we were just talking about like
Yeah.
the whole overall year like seasonality. And for us, like, I think we talked a little bit about this last time. Like, we have highs and low points of the year. So if you're trying to promote something
Yes.
during your low point, you're going to struggle the whole time. You're going to work harder for less gain. So like, use the points that you know are your historical highs to boost.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Like,
So having
there's
that
only,
history is important. Obviously, you can't always have the history. When you're first
Yeah.
starting, you don't have anything. You have to just kind of fly at the seat of your pants and see what works.
Well, we were just discussing, like, August for us is never, like, a great month.
Yeah.
So I think for us next year, we might even close down for August.
Yeah,
And like, then do our own planning, and like then we can do some of these things in a vacuum alone and not have to worry about production.
Yeah, I love the idea. I think, so yeah, what Nick is saying is basically we would shut down for the month of August, and then during that time we would probably be catching up with any lingering orders that might still need to get done, which hopefully shouldn't be too many. And then I get to work on the new designs for fall, because typically that is when I'm getting those things done, but I'd be able to really focus in on it and maybe make versions of things. That's something I always want to do and I never get to, because I'm like, I just have to get this right the first time.
Giving you like a week here and there is like,
it's much harder.
it's necessary, but
Yeah.
it's like not ideal, I think, for how you create.
I agree with you.
So.
The more focused I can be, typically the better. Although sometimes I can also just get in my head, so you'll probably have to come in and be like, stop. looking at that.
I'm done with this.
Yeah. Or like do something else for a little bit. But yeah, so I think we'll get that done, and I'm hoping we can film a lot more of it because
Yes.
you guys have said so many times that you really want to see more
Creative
of the
side.
creative process of making a new bag. And because it's just a week and I'm just like, I have to get it right the first time, I need to concentrate. I don't have the
I
time
leave
to
her
film
alone,
it. Yeah.
and me and Wes go somewhere,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah. And so while I'll probably still need that to some extent, I am hoping that we can
For a month.
film it. You're going to go on your separate
How are you
vacation.
going to film it if I'm not here?
I know. That's what I'm saying. I will invite
No.
you in more
Finally.
to see part
It's
of
about
that.
time. It's only been 20 years.
And there was another part at that point. And then my other thought was we'd be able to do some great photo shoots during that time.
Yeah.
We'd also be able to potentially make back inventory. What?
All right, shut up with that. All right. The other thing is you should kind of feel like you're over talking about stuff, over explaining everything, because chances are if you say something once and like you feel like everyone heard it, they didn't. So
That's true.
it's really important to like just drive your simple message home often. So if you're going to talk about this product launch, why it's special, maybe have like 3 to 4 talking points that like that's you say that no matter what, in a different way, no matter what you're posting.
And say it in the simplest way possible.
Because people they get confused, and that's fine. Like you just want to be as clear as you can possibly be. All right, moving on. What part of PA are you guys in? Southeast. So we're like right outside of Philly. We lived in Philly for quite a while.
At least 18 years.
If your bags came alive in the studio at night and you fought like gangs of New York, which bags would ally with each side? Oh my God.
Oh, God.
That's a complex question.
Like the Jets and the Sharks, is that one?
I don't think we're going to answer that. How can we find out which bags are available? So you just missed order week. So thank you everyone who placed an order for order
Yes.
week. That's awesome. It's exciting every time. So it closes either when we fill up spots or on the 8th. And so we just missed it.
Of each month.
Of each month. So we are trying to figure out, what to do with December.
Yeah.
I think what we did last year is like December was like anyone who wanted to place an order for that time period, because we did close down the last 2 weeks of December last year.
Yeah.
Which we'll
It's the last 3 weeks.
We might even have to.
Wait, what?
Anyway. So the last month we'll probably have orders open for a week, and then but those are going to be started in January.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So like they aren't like
You will not be able to get them
like
for
you're
Christmas.
ordering it in January basically. So we'll figure that part out.
But yeah, we do
yeah.
explain order week a little bit.
Explain how to buy. So every first week of the month we open, and like all of our designs, unless they're pre-order, are available in all colors, unless for some reason we don't have them. Because we are currently looking for natural and olive edge paints to
match to our bags.
our bags, because the place we were getting it from changed how they do their thing, so we have to figure out that. I'm hoping we'll get that done soon. But anyway, the first week of the month, you can place your order, and then 4 to 6 weeks from then, usually around 6 weeks, is when we start shipping those things. So that's how it works.
Yeah. The only other thing is, if you sign up for our email list,
If you
you
want a
do get a
reminder.
head start
You can
on
get,
order week.
yeah. If you want a reminder, or if you're a subscriber to our newsletter, you get a little bit of a head start. And sometimes we surprise you with an early thing, even earlier thing.
Because slots do sometimes, like a lot of the time, tend to fill up before we get to the 8th, and
Like
in which case we
January
close down
through
early.
June, like we close down early every single time. Our summer is like slower for us, so. But then fall it picks up again, so.
Yeah, and the
it
other
might
thing
be-
you can do right now is if you go on the website and you see a bag and the color and everything that you want, you can sign up to be notified when it's back in stock, and the second it becomes available, you'll get
You get a
notified.
notification. You can get a text or an email or both.
And
or
you
whatever
won't get any other emails from us. You'll just get that.
Unless you sign up to otherwise.
Right.
Disclaimers.
Disclaimers.
But that's also, all that being said, we have hats on final sale, and patterns are always just available. So
Right.
Okay. Do you think it's better to launch one new material in all styles, one style or one style in all materials? So I think this is where, like, you can ask this question all day long. I think you have to just figure out like what your customer wants. So if you launch, say, like 3 separate items in one material and see how that goes, excuse me. And if it doesn't do that well, you might want to try the other way. So like you have to do the experiment in this case. And I think like there's no answer. There's no like this is what you do. You have to figure out what your customers want and respond to. My feeling is because like we do 2 different things. When we do colors, we do it in each individual design is a different week with that color.
Yeah.
And that seems to work really, really well for us. And then we do have a little bit of overlap between each week. And we try to put like designs with each other so that people, if they're between 2 like designs, have a chance to choose between each one. Mm-hmm. So we try to be thoughtful about that stuff. And it's kind of creates something to talk about each week, and it's something new and exciting.
Yeah, as far as that goes, I would definitely.
How do you feel about floral pants for men? Personally, I wouldn't wear them, but I'm definitely
Nick would never wear any print, so he's not the person to ask.
Like, this is as exciting as I get with, like, things on me, and I wear this because I love Trevor.
Right, I can't even believe that he's wearing it. It has a logo on it.
Yeah, I'm not a logo person. But I'm sure if that's what your customer wants, that's what they want.
Yeah, I, on the other hand, love the idea.
I'm not against prints. I just haven't found a print that I like.
The only print I've technically seen you wear is plaid or stripes.
I call that a print.
It is a print.
I
People
flew
have to
over Philly
design
last month. I waved. He didn't wave back. Did you go to school in Philly? We both went to the University of the Arts for college. Man, I'm like so behind here.
Get on
How
it.
often do your newsletters come out? Like when we have something to say.
Yeah.
Not very, very often. Like one came out yesterday for the blog post. We do maybe 3 photo shoots 3 or 4 a year. And
anytime it's order week or we have something new,
or like
new
surprise
design, new color.
We try not to blast you with stuff because I hate getting junk mail.
Yes.
I get junk mail all day long from people trying to sell me stuff, and then I'm not into it.
Yeah, we're not going to send you an email once a week. That's not happening.
The microphone gives you a televangelist or a pop singer look. Start singing.
You do not want to hear me sing, that's for sure. I don't know who that was directed at, but I mostly look like the cult leader currently. So.
Ooh, here we go. How did you find your? Oh, I appreciate your business insight. How did you find your brand voice?
That's a great question.
So, you can do a couple different things. If you're into research, you can research your market in different ways, and then tailor it directly to that person. I think you can either do that, or you can kind of make it an extension of yourself.
Yeah, so
which I think is a lot more genuine, and it's a lot more relatable.
It's definitely what we did.
It's what we did.
So yeah, I mean, Nick is talking to you about it from the business perspective, but the actual design perspective, I mean, it is an extension of me and us and our aesthetic, my aesthetic. Most of the stuff I design because I want to wear it, and I would imagine that other people might want to wear it. I did work in fashion for about 10 years, so I have a pretty good eye in that regard, and I do a ton of research in fashion and what's coming down the runways and what's in stores and that sort of thing. So I'm pretty well educated in that, but it's still all kind of filters down kind of through my personal filter of what I envision our brand to look like. Mm-hmm. And so one really easy way, so some people have a vision and that sort of thing, and it's really easy to go forward from there. Some people kind of have to take the time to figure out what that vision is. And this is actually something that we talk about a lot in our Domestica course, but just to kind of give you the really quick answer, is that one easy way you can do it, or one way to try to figure that out, is I would go on, assuming that you have obviously Instagram, Pinterest, that sort of thing. Start just collecting images of things that excite you in that space. And they don't have to be in that space. So like, I actually don't really look at very many people or many bag designs. I look at fashion more as like a bigger whole, because to me, I'm getting to see sewing technique, structure, color, things like that. There's like all these little pieces that create a whole. And so just collect images. You can start, if it's leather bags that you want to make, start by collecting just leather bag pictures that excite you for whatever reason it is. But then I would say from there, start branching out and just look at any images, fashion, photography, architecture, any, like, I love to look at like vintage stuff, just collecting all that stuff together. Then kind of sift through those and see, okay, well, what is, like, is there a common thread? Do you see a common thread with these images? Like,
So real quick,
is it,
do you have a unique vision that you can put into the world that people want?
Yeah.
Or is there a hole in the market that you can fill to help, like, you know,
to say
create,
something?
to say something?
That is, yeah, that is part of something you want to like ask yourself either at the beginning or the end of this process. But I'm just saying a way to kind of like figure it out is so, because like for us in just making bags, there's so many little pieces of it that make our bags us. It's the type of leather we use, it's the color choices that we go with, it's the thread color, it's the way we finish our edges, and all these things don't sound that important, but if I were to show you one of our bags that we made in the beginning where we didn't finish our edges, you'd be like, whoa, that doesn't even look like you, because I was still figuring it out. And like there were some bags that we sewed with like white thread when we first got started, and I look back at that and I cringe. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not the vision I have of us now. There's also, for us, like the biggest thing is I love structure and I love shapes. Like those are the two things that excite me when I'm looking at any sort of imagery. I love like the shape and structure of a photograph, of a building, of a dress, of a bag, of anything. So then it's part of that. And then there's closures and hardware and like what color hardware. There's so many reasons why we made the choices we did, but most of it was visual and what I found pleasing to my aesthetic, and like that kind of thread that kind of went through everything that I love.
And that's
So
how you do it.
that's the long-winded version. I was burning
that it?
threads. Yes, that's all I had to say. Is he okay?
Yeah, it's fine. You can also decide, like, how do you want to speak to people? Do you want it to be casual? Do you want it to be formal? Is your industry typically a certain way? Can you do it like that but better? Or should you just flip it on its head and do the opposite? Like, typically, like a handmade luxury goods business, in my opinion, is like can be a stuffy, like, pompous environment. And we didn't want to be like that. So
And they didn't show you how the things were made.
They definitely didn't show you how the things were made. For many reasons, and that was kind of a hole that we saw and wanted to show people, you know, the work that it takes to make a bag, and that it can be done the way we're doing it. Because most places, I can guarantee you, that I don't even know if any big company makes bags in the U.S. anymore. I don't think they do, right? Or
Not
maybe
that
they
I
do
know
super
off the top
limited
of my
runs.
head. Yeah, Coach used to be one of the big ones, but
That's why I'm pausing, because they're the only one I can think of that might
Yeah.
have. Hello from El Porcito de America. Hello. But yeah, it's something that you can kind of figure out over time too.
yeah, and it'll change over time no matter what, because everyone's taste changes a little bit over time.
And
You get
there's tons
inspired
of
by different
examples,
things.
but like if you're casual, that can mean like you have like a bright imagery, like one like defining color is really common in that kind of way. And then you talk to people, like you're friends with them, and you make jokes, and you can be funny.
You're talking about how you're writing things.
Yeah, how you writing copy and advertising.
Yeah.
Versus
Your
something that you want to
voice.
be super formal, structured, traditional.
And what?
We'll
and,
pull from history.
Right. And
there's
the sort of things that you want to share even.
and the
too.
imagery that goes along with that too.
Yeah.
So like everything's got to align. So if you try to do like a super traditional like royal thing, and then you start talking to people like, "Yo, buy my bags," it's not gonna match, and then people be like, "Whoa, this is weird. I do not understand what's happening."
Or maybe they will, and you found something new.
Copy language is something I need to work on a lot. Okay, ready? It's not about you, ever. It's about your customer and what they need and want and what you're doing for them. So instead of describing what you're making for them, let them know how it will make their life better. So, like, I'd have like on our descriptions, I just have like, like some short copy about who I envision that bag's for, kind of, and then I have the listed things about it, like it's vegetable tans, brass hardware, blah blah blah, like the quality things, because I think people want to know that, like they want to know dimensions, but like they're gonna buy it based on the feeling they get from like your imagery and your words. So, but I think a lot of people focus on the thing, like they'll describe the thing instead of describing how this is gonna make your life better.
Or what it's going to look like in your life.
Or or how it'll make your life easier, or how it impacts your life. So like these scissors are awesome. These are like Japanese thread snips.
What?
I'm holding the thread snips.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt that says "Yo, buy my bags," and that could work for you. That could be your customer. Thanks for sharing your experience. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to think about, and I think it can be overwhelming. But like I said before, make your plan, and then you can follow your plan. Even if you just write down, get better at copywriting, and then you write one item a week, or you just do one to see if you can figure out how to do it, or you try to copy the style of a copy that you like a lot.
That's a good idea.
There's always inspiration to be had. Like there's tons of companies that do a really great job. And chances are you know about them because you remember them. If you don't remember them, they probably didn't do a good job. I always forget to talk about this. We got a new pre-loved bag back.
Oh yeah.
And I gave it some conditioner and kind of re-burnished the backside of the strap. And this is one of the very, very original ones because the newer ones had a pocket up here, and this one's pocket is down here. So you can see how our design even changed with this. And it's something really simple, but we made that change
So that's
a long time ago.
That's available to purchase anytime?
Yeah, so this is just up on the site. It's a pre-loved bag.
In the pre-loved section.
In the pre-loved section. So just to give a little plug to pre-loved, if you have a bag that, like this, not this one specifically, that you maybe aren't using as much as you'd like, we do offer basically a trade-in for 20% off your next purchase for your bag. So we'll recondition the one you send us, and then we'll give you a unique code to get some money off your next purchase. Oops. Thoughts on AI copywriting?
Against it.
So I'm not against AI really in any way, but I think that you have to become like an expert in how to talk to AI to get the results that you think you want. It's more about how you interact with it than actually what it can produce. I feel in the long term, I'm sure there'll be uses for it, but I still feel like it's so much easier to, from your own experience, pull from like imagery that you know is going to work for your customer. If you know how to talk to AI and can figure that out, like that's awesome. I haven't really messed around with it, but you can always kind of tell when it's like robot written because you're just like, this kind of doesn't feel right.
Can you pull the mat out a little bit? I can't get the pedal to go back the other way. Thank you.
And it's kind of like when you see AI images, they all look they look fake, and
they look real, but they're missing something.
They look real, but they look fake at the same time.
They look dead inside.
And I think people can sense that pretty easily. So once it gets to the point where it's not like obvious, perhaps, but I still feel that the human characteristics are more important. Why don't you use more eco-friendly vegan leathers, Daniel? Stop poking
What
the bear.
are you trying to say? We all know that vegan leathers are not eco-friendly.
You mean plastics?
It's plastic.
Yeah, they're just plastics.
Stuff.
Special fancy
Oh,
plastics.
weird. I didn't mean to have this.
Bonded with vegetables.
Sorry, stuffing it.
The short answer to that is like genuine leather items will last you like a lifetime or more if you take care of it, and they're they're not perfect in how they're made because they're an animal, unlike like a fabric like a pleather that can be uniform, but this will break down and biodegrade and plastic won't, at least not for a couple thousand years.
But it'll
And
somehow.
until we find bacteria that can chew on plastic and biodegrade it in a manageable way, this is a much more sustainable option.
Plus, all the leather we use is
Yeah, it's a byproduct of the meat industry.
byproducts. Exactly. So people are going to keep eating meat. That means there's still going to be leather. And if we didn't use the leather, it would just end up in landfills. And the amount of meat that the United States produces is so great that if we did not use the leather, it would immediately fill up all of our landfills.
What small dog breeds would you recommend fitting in your largest bags? I mean, a Pomeranian would be hilarious.
But I can't imagine one fitting in one of our bags.
I think that's like, I'm thinking
Oh,
inside.
maybe the
Chihuahua with a giant head
Bower?
popping out.
a teacup poodle,
But you won't
obviously.
be around in 1,000 years. Why do you care?
How did you
oh my
not-
God.
How did you not say a teacup poodle?
Oh. So I think there's like a wise saying that planting the seeds of a tree that you won't see the shade it produces. I'm butchering it, but it's very apt, and it's like we need to care about these things. Like, we have a son. Even if we didn't have a son, we have society, we have people, humans that are going to live on the planet.
Yes.
So if we can do our best by the planet now, hopefully we won't find ourselves in a situation that
We're currently in.
is harmful. that we're currently living through. Getting tornado warnings every season is new for our area.
Very. And our
So-
son is growing up with it like it's completely normal.
Yeah, right. But yeah, if we can be as resourceful and sustainable as possible, that's our goal. Is there you prefer? I'm asking. Is there you prefer veg tan leathers? I'm gonna assume your question is.
Is there a reason?
Is there a reason you prefer them? And we just named a lot of them, so that probably answers that.
Well, and maybe over chrome tan.
Yeah, I mean, chromium tanned leathers take less time, and there's nothing inherently right or wrong with these. These are just the decisions that we came to over time because this is what our values are. And there's uses for chrome tan leather, but we just truly believe in veg tan leather. Anyway, so chrome tan takes less time to make. It uses chromium salts, as the name suggests, and it can be very polluting to waterways, especially the locations that produce chromium tan leathers. One of the things about our leather is it's made in the United States, made in Pennsylvania, and right next door they basically have their own water treatment facility to make sure that anything that goes back into the waterways is clean. And the standards that the United States has are different than other countries for that. So that's one thing that we really appreciate about these leathers.
Also, if you're a leather worker, the reason I would choose veg
And
over
it's a good
chrome
material.
is that you can burnish and the side.
Yeah, burnish, paint it.
Yeah, it's also got more structure to it. There's just
It's beautiful.
gonna
It
patina over
patinas. There's
time.
lots of physical traits about it that are awesome too. And it helps us maintain the structure that we like.
Yeah.
So like chromium tan leathers are generally softer. Yeah. I'm ready to leave Florida. It's way too hot and miserable. Yeah. Don't blame me there. Do you have any
Wait, are
plans
you-
to release a pattern for the Chelsea bag? So maybe.
yeah, we could do that because the Chelsea bag is the bag we
It's
dropped.
discontinued.
Yeah, we could do that.
I'm gonna write it down.
It's a great idea.
It's a small one. That's like a manageable bag.
Yeah, and it would be also be a little faster for me to make that.
Yep. So yes, that can happen. Yeah, hopefully, like we were talking about, if we can get ahead of August and get ahead, we'll have some time to do some PDFs and actually release like maybe 3 more, because I know you guys are very interested in that. All right, what else did we talk about? Oh, if you have any suggestions for like the longer format videos, we're all ears. I've been working on, not a script, but like fleshing out like an origin type video, which I intended to do before we went on vacation, but it didn't happen.
Well, it became a lot bigger than you thought.
It did. So.
But I think that's a good thing. I think people are gonna like.
That's gonna happen.
It's like one of our #1 questions. So.
But we'll also, we also want to know what else you want to hear about, like in like 10-minute video increments with voiceovers, blah blah blah. What is your main goal for the rest of the year? I mean, that's a tough one.
Main
like
goal.
we have
So like
designs that are going to be coming out for fall, and then basically it's produce until you can't produce anymore,
So we
and then take 2 weeks off or take 3 weeks off in December, and then it's next year. Not taking time off.
No, it's like
down.
that's a different. We're not taking
Sorry.
time off. We're not like on
We're not
vacation.
leaving. We're definitely not on
No,
vacation.
I will still be down here making all the orders.
But yeah, that's kind of it. We've been brainstorming for like since we visited the tannery about a special color. We have a lot of things like in the works for like I feel like next year.
And we do have we have some special things planned besides even the new bags coming out.
Yeah, we do.
So
we're
just can't talk
deciding
about them yet.
timeline-wise where they fit best.
Yeah.
I was thinking of doing one soon, but I don't know if that makes the most sense. So we'll figure that out. Can't talk about it. Secrets.
We don't usually keep a lot of secrets, but
yeah,
we got some secrets right now.
I feel like the start of September for us is always like
It's my
like
favorite
a relaunch. It feels
time
like.
of year.
Yeah, it's also our favorite time of year.
Well, to me, it's when my brain is like so excited to make. I don't know why.
It's because you're used to starting school
Oh.
for like your whole life.
I think it's just because like the weather makes me want to be cozy.
Oops.
And so like being inside making is like feels good.
I know what you got. What got you started, but have you been cash flowing your company yourself, or have you taken out small loans? So it's generally bootstrapped. So Shopify actually offers like loans through their platform, and we've done that to help us like just move through some things. So we did those a couple times, but we haven't taken out like a bank loan, and they're not like significant amount of money. It's just kind of like it's like a buffer for like buying,
A big piece of equipment.
$10,000 in leather or buying this thing, so that we can keep going with our normal cash flow.
Right.
So, not that anyone cares about this, but for next year we have just more precise plans on how to plan for like the slow times, like the summer. So, yeah, cash flow is very important, especially because your business takes a certain amount of money to just work every month anyway. So you have to have your eye on that for sure. Joined a bit late. Do you try to keep to a specific brand or tannery for your bags? So we get all of our leather from Wicket and Craig out of Pennsylvania. That's it. We might be doing a little collaboration with another company
That was one of the exciting things I was talking
that
about.
we can't really talk about yet, but that won't be a Wicket and Craig leather. It's just a cool opportunity that we think would be fun.
Yeah.
Because you gotta take those too. You gotta keep the fun things happening. You need like Daniel. You need fun markers. So like this is cool to do. This is cool to do. This is cool to do. And you put them throughout the year so that you have stuff to look forward to, especially when you're like in the production phase and mode, when you're just like making. Speaking directly to you, for some reason. Appreciate you answering my strange question. Yeah, I mean, that's hard. I think that's why we kind of started slow and let it grow. Otherwise, you do have to just take out money, and someone like a bank has to want to give you money or lend you money rather. And be
Give you
confident
money. That sounds great.
Yeah, and be confident that you're going to be able to pay the interest, right? So, and that's been tougher to do recently as well. So I'm sure a lot of people are struggling with that, especially if your big seasonal times are like when you do markets and shows, and like that's when the bulk of your money comes in. Then you probably have a slow point, and then you maybe do markets and shows in the winter for holiday. So you have like this kind of roller coaster of sales, and you have to plan the whole year around that. So if you're not squirreling money away when everything's great, and then for the times when it's not, then you're going to run into cash flow problems. And businesses, especially if you have contracts like net 30, net 60, net 90, where you're not getting paid until 90 days after it's delivered, like that's a whole different issue with your cash flow. But that would be more for like a wholesale situation. How do you avoid burnout when there's so much to get done? How do you keep business from creeping into family life? That's hard. I mean, we all have highs and lows. Like I always feel low after a photo shoot. Because
really?
I anticipate that for a long time, and I love getting out into the field, and like I love taking pictures.
The literal field.
But yeah, into an actual field. But after that, I'm like, and I love editing too, which is weird. But after all that's done, and if I have to wait between when I do that and when I get to show the world, it gets weird for me. So like you have to know yourself, and it's not easy, because like there's times during the year where we're just like frustrated because we're like, let's just get like to the future, because we know like maybe this one month isn't great, and we know that the next month will be, or we feel that it will be. We don't know anything.
So for me, as far as avoiding burnout, because I am the one like making most of the stuff, I think first of all, this is a really good question, and it was one of my biggest fears in starting our business actually, was the creative burnout. But because when I worked in textiles, I had to, it was...
She's getting PTSD.
Yeah,
right
a little
now.
bit. It was, you literally just had to be creative every single day, and like so creative. And because what we did was print design, and every single print we made, literally every single one, and I made thousands, and I art directed thousands, had to be different from the one you did before, or any other one you did before. And
anything out into the world already.
Yeah. It was very difficult, and like you definitely like it gets easier as the more you do it, for sure, just like anything else. But what actually I ended up realizing in doing what we're doing now is I have basically like kind of like 2 big creative times throughout the year where I'm making new designs. There are definitely other little creative pieces in between, but kind of everything else is me just like making the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I can see for sure how that could get so boring and monotonous, and it can. However, I think because I've lived in the opposite world, where it's like kind of high stress to just be creative all the time, I actually really appreciate doing the monotonous. I don't even like the word monotonous. I feel like to me it's meditative.
She appreciates the craft.
Yeah, and I appreciate focusing on making every single bag the best it can be as I'm making it. Plus, I'm listening to like so many podcasts
about murder.
Yeah. But they're not all about murder.
They're mostly about murder.
They are mostly about murder. However, and I just like listening to stories while I make stuff. And so I kind of start to get in that meditative state where I'm not, and I'm making these bags like over and over again. I could practically make most of them in my sleep. And it's interesting, I've gotten to this place too where like, if there's a bag or a part of a bag that really stresses me out to me, I start immediately thinking about what in this design can I change to make this less stressful? And
You're
that's
welcome.
become the new little creative outlet that I get throughout the year as I work on stuff. So that's another piece. But yeah, I kind of think it's about like changing your mindset.
Someone else listens to crime podcasts all day.
Thank you.
I'm
A
not
lot
saying,
of people
I'm not
do.
saying it's weird. It's just.
Oh, it's weird. It's fine.
It's not.
But yeah, I feel like kind of changing your mindset into being like, I'm going to have these different creative times. and I'm using the time I'm making the same thing over and over again to just be this meditative place where I have space to think or not to think, kind of almost even turn off a little bit. Because, like, otherwise I'm just running all day long. Like, we're two people running a small business with a 5-year-old. And up until this point, he's never been in full-time school. He's been in school, but it's part-time. So it's just a lot doing all of this, just the two of us. We don't have a ton of extra help. So, yeah, I think it's about changing your mindset.
No one said it's going to be easy.
And the thing is, I've also realized is, like, I've had many jobs throughout my life, and any job at any point in time can burn you out.
Sure.
So it's about finding the ways within the job you're doing to love it and to not let yourself get burnt out, and to notice when you are getting burnt out and figure out, is there something else I can do? Is there something I can change to make that not happen? Or is there a different mindset I can take to make this better?
Yeah. I think for me professionally, I experienced burnout when I wasn't able to affect the change that needed to happen.
Yeah.
And I was basically in a situation where I had to follow orders.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, like, that's fine to do, right? That's every job is like that in some some way. But when it becomes only that, like, where's the outlet, like, for your actual thinking and problem solving, which is where
that's your creative space.
That's my creative world.
Yeah.
So for me, I know during our slow times, we don't have the capital, we don't have, like, the opportunities to do the fun creative things that I like to do for us. But when things are going really well, that's when I really am happy.
Yeah, yeah.
Which sounds lame, but
no, that makes perfect
sense. Me,
sense.
in my mind, it's opportunities to do other things for us, and that's fun for me.
Yeah, and I'm realizing too, like,
a different problem.
The place where I got burnt out at my other job was, like, just so I get burnt out when I feel like I've done it all, or, like, not that anyone's done it all, it's not possible, but when I've gotten to a place where I'm like, okay, I get it, like, I know how to do this, I get this job, almost becomes a bit boring. That's when I get burnt out, is when I'm bored. And so I found that because my creativity can come in these, like, spurts throughout the year, it actually works better for me than just being creative all of the time. And, like, yeah.
And, like, this feels very much different than, like, a job. Like, I used to have multiple bosses all the time. And that's just a different scenario than, like, you creating the plan and doing the plan.
Just gonna take a little
and
run.
you have to find the things that you really like. Wes is just running around
doing
upstairs.
some laps. I'm getting hot. Oh, it's ended. He fell.
He fell down. You have to find the thing you like,
up.
and then make sure that exists in your world enough to make you want to keep doing the things before.
Sorry, what I was getting at before too is, like, I think because I had to be creative all the time and, like, do it over and over again, it felt like I got to the ending point faster than I am with this. So, like, every time I'm making a bag, I'm always trying to figure out how to make it better,
That's
do
a
it better technique on each little technique there is within making a bag. And when I get to make new designs, of course, there's tons of creativity in that part of it. But because I had to be just so creative all the time in my old job, I felt like I got through that part, that fun part, too fast. Or, like, I mean, it was 10 years, but it was quick. It felt quick. Okay, that's good. Got the running to stop.
Yeah.
Cool running.
He wasn't doing anything specific, so.
Okay.
Where to get your inspiration for new designs? That's going to be a topic of a video eventually. And it might maybe...
Sorry, I'm not thinking. Go ahead.
Go ahead, what? You weren't even listening to me.
No, I was thinking about what I was doing.
So Leanne's inspired by nature and baskets,
Structure.
Battlestar Galactica,
What? Battlestar
bears.
And bears. And beats.
And beats.
No, I'm mostly inspired by structure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is, like, the key to my inspiration. I find that in many places.
I haven't met a slouchy bag that I liked.
I know. I've actually been looking at some recently. It's like, and I literally had this thought. I was like, I wonder if I could come up with a slouchy bag that
I've thought about it too, and I'm just like, There's not one. There's one that I'm like, that's okay,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, but I wouldn't want to make that.
That's that's the part. I wouldn't want to make it.
So get your slouchy bags out of here.
Or get them from somewhere else, I guess.
Thank you for the insight. My daughter and I are just beginning our business, and hearing
Oh, cool.
you, we have so many things we can relate to. And
That's
everything
cool.
you're saying. I'm not crazy. So yes.
Ugh.
Okay. So
Oh my
that's
gosh.
that's a great point because like
Yes.
it's very lonely.
so
it can be very
easy.
lonely, especially when you're doing your own thing. Because I don't think people fully comprehend what it's like. Like everyone can get a job, but like when the job is you doing it or you deciding everything,
Yeah.
I think it's just so different.
And it's just so
Um,
easy to feel like you're crazy with stuff.
And everyone else is living like a sort of
Quote,
9 to 5
unquote,
world or
normal.
normal existence, and it's hard to relate sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even know what to talk to people about because I'm just like, well, I'm over here thinking about like edge paint colors from France, and like having to speak French that I don't speak. Inspiration can come from anywhere. At my old job, I designed a backpack based on the shape of a spinach container I saw at the
Oh my
grocery
God.
store. That's like a great example.
Totally.
That's a perfect
totally.
example.
Any container.
Yes.
That's another thing. Like, I feel like the word container is like, exactly it. It could be any type of container. It could also not be a container at all. I remember too, my friend posting this photo on Instagram. I texted her and I was like, oh my God, that would make such a good bag. And she's like, she's like, only you would think that.
Well,
but I was like, the shape is just so
it
cute.
reminds me of when we were in college and you would go to a museum and you'd see a painting and you go, I like this part of the painting right here. And then you would like, that would be in your head. And then you could try to recreate like that subtle, like maybe layering of paint in something that you did later. So like all those little tiny inspirations, when you get enough of those to add up to like a thing, that's like when it's really exciting to me. Why do you need that small white sewing machine?
Oh, that's Wes's.
This is Wes's.
That we got
So-
off Facebook Marketplace for free. It doesn't work. It
Wes
doesn't sew.
sews straps.
Yeah. So we took the needle out of it and we let him.
He fixes it. He plays with
He
it.
can do whatever he wants with it. But recently he's been running leather through it.
Things that other people won't relate to.
Yeah. But
Your kid's gonna have a weird
true.
childhood.
And understanding of what work is. And not everyone makes bags in their basement. What are you talking about? But yeah, that's his sewing machine. He gets a lot of use out of it, actually.
He loves it. He likes taking things apart, and he loves
Yeah, that was the main reason.
that stuff.
Well, and he wanted to always help me sew. I'm like, well,
Someone bought this, so you can't have it.
no, just kidding. Sorry for this disgusting noise.
That's like when you drink too much water on empty
Oh,
stomach.
I know. That's exactly what I said. Like, oh, I was making me nauseous just hearing it. Sorry, everyone. I apologize. Yeah, did you go through all your
I think I
thoughts
did.
there?
We actually covered one by accident, which was awesome.
Good.
Ta-da!
What time is it?
I don't know, but he's being very good.
He is being very good. What else you got?
I think, well, I'm just trying to think. I'm thinking more about like the like launching kind of checklist that Daniel brought up. The other option you can do, I don't know if this works for your business, is like you can do like drops. So like
Yeah,
can
there's
start-
many different ways to
you
do
can
it.
start it as a drop and be like, I have, but I don't know if that works for like sizing and for everything you do. But you might be able to just be like, hey, this is when my product's coming out. I'll have an initial limited drop, and then you can buy it, and then maybe it goes away, and then it comes back.
It was like something that you just ordered.
I hate the smell of barge.
I know, sorry.
My 2-year-old comes in the shop and grabs a screwdriver from the drawer and sticks it in the empty bolt holes of the sewing machine table legs. And he calls it his work. Yeah.
100%. That's exactly what. That's so.
He's like, I've got work to do.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
then
okay.
and then he's like messing. His other thing that he does is he has like tools like
He
plastic
actually is using
kid
our
tools.
little maul and the hole punch to sew.
Yeah, so he's been punching. He takes like the cardstock that I make patterns out of, and a hole punch and our mini maul, and he punches holes and then he hand stitches it.
This is his work.
The other one upstairs is his best
Yeah, this
work,
is better.
which is his
The other
first
one's better. But like he's been just, this is
He said he was making books.
He was making books. So he's bookbinding.
Basically, yeah.
But we have like this upholstery thread
For our couch.
from buttons, and he uses that with like a, not really a sharp pointed needle, and he enjoys himself, so.
The other thing he does is he gets up onto Nick's table, and there's like,
he just stands on top of it.
Yeah, and there's like random nails in our 1920s home in like the joist, and he like pretends to nail them in. So that's his other work.
Busy.
Yeah.
And he likes it.
Yeah. It's a funny life.
All right, get your final questions in.
Final questions. Final questions. Yeah, I guess because of the sizing, it does make it hard to do drops. I'm just thinking about what you were saying. I do think that some people find that doing drops is really successful. But basically, you like make a bunch of stuff, and then you're like, "This is what's for sale. Get it now, or it's gone."
Drops work with like one of a kinds. I think
it does work better that way. Yeah.
Not that you couldn't do it for other things, but
maybe if you were working with like vintage yardage or like dead stock. And I do. I mean, that's how Sarah works. Actually, my friend that made the dress I'm wearing.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No. It's a hot dog. Otherwise, we call it a sandwich dog.
Does any other sandwich have one ingredient on it?
Well, like a BLT is also known as a sandwich, but a hot dog isn't known as a sandwich. It's known as.
Why are you giving me sass? I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just asking.
I'm just fighting my point because I think it's not a sandwich.
What if you just have bread with cheese on it?
But like you don't
ever. Is that a sandwich?
You can also make a sandwich out of lots of different types of bread, but a hot dog goes in a hot dog bun.
Yeah. What about a pretzel bun?
It's still a bun. You're not going to make it with like 2 slices of white bread.
So is a hamburger a sandwich?
You have to, I guess. No, it's a hamburger. Completely different to me.
Because there's open-faced sandwiches.
Yes, you still call them a sandwich, don't you?
Yeah, but why? It's just bread with stuff on top. It's like a salad.
With bread. So then should we call them salads?
They're salads.
It's a veggie sandwich. That means it's a salad with bread.
A hot dog is a taco. They said it.
There you go. Not my opinion. Oh, that's a taco. Okay.
Why is toast the only thing that changes its name once it's cooked? That's just not true.
What? Changes its name once
a goat becomes chevron.
What?
A cow becomes beef.
You're talking about... Okay, whatever. You guys are both nuts. Bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, a bunch of weirdos. All right, I think we're done.
The questions get real weird. That means
it's
time to leave.
So, what did we talk about? Oh, man. Hold on. Should probably go over it real quick.
Order week is over. The next time you can order will be September, the beginning of September, first week of September. Unless you're ordering a hat, in which case you can order anytime, or getting a pattern, you can order that anytime.
We have a blog post out with our latest photo shoot that we did this past Tuesday.
Yes.
It's got some really cool images in there, so check that out. Our Domestika course is available in our highlights. You can click on the link there if you want to learn how to make the moonrise bag that we made specifically for Domestika.
It comes with a pattern.
Comes with a pattern.
And a ton of resources.
All sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
There's a forum on there where we answer other questions.
Yeah, you can like be in touch with us all the
You can share like your social media platforms on there. You can share your work. You can talk to other leather makers, which is pretty cool. There's this one guy on there who he kind of marries like Mexican tradition with Western style, which is
that's
similar
cool.
but different. And it was cool to see like his inspiration and like what that might look like if he decides to change the way the bag is made. And then you can obviously share your finished bags too, which is, we can't wait to see that.
Yes.
And then we'll have timelines out for the new designs for fall, and we'll solidify our holiday order deadline date so that everybody knows what to expect.
Yep.
And if you have a bag that's been sitting around for a while, you should check out our preload program, see if that works for you. We're done.
That's it.
Where do you get your custom logo stamps?
We got them a really long
We got them a
time
long time
ago.
ago, but I
Well,
think
what's
Leather Stamp Maker. I know that sounds fake.
American?
No, I think it's just Leather Stamp Maker.
Oh, okay.
He has a newer website. He just updated.
Yeah.
Check them out. I believe that's what it's called. It sounds not real, but
It is.
they're quick.
And we've seen
solid
other
brass.
people's. We've not gotten stuff from them, but we've seen other people's
Yeah.
that we know really,
They look
really
really
well,
good.
and they look great and they stamp really well.
We'll eventually have to replace ours just because they
I
get
would like
kind of
to
dull over the years.
replace one of them right now. So.
All right, that's it. We'll see you next week. Same time, probably in the same place.
I mean, we're not going to be out of the basement, so.
Oh, and if you saw the end of last week's
Oh,
live,
yeah.
for some reason, Instagram decided to go
Keep
re-live for us.
Filming while
and
we were.
just chatting about stuff, so
I'm
it got
just
weird.
grateful I didn't do anything weird while you
Alright.
guys still there. You can still watch it.
bye everybody.
Bye.
I always don't know how to do this one.